Hi there. My name is Patrick Hutchins. I'm an environmental educator and I'm the author of the marine science blog Depth and Taxa. Over the years, I've been teaching people about the ocean in many different places with many different organizations. And one of the things that happens when you start getting a little more expertise in that area is that people really get curious about the things that they find out on beaches and around our local waters. And so they start sending videos, images, kind of vague descriptions in emails, asking the big question, what the hell am I looking at? And I thought it would be fun for the blog Depth and Taxa to reach out to you all a little bit and start taking more of your videos and sharing online the process of finding out what exactly you're looking at. So this new series is going to be called exactly what we said before. What the hell am I looking at? And I want you to send me your blurry videos, your brief zoomed out images, and your vague descriptions of stuff that you find around the Salish Sea or wherever you're from. And we're going to take a look and see if we can figure out what the hell you're looking at. Our first ever video is sent in by my friend Audrey Harmon, who's a marine mammal care specialist with zoos and aquariums, formerly of the Seattle Aquarium and the Henry Dorley Zoo. And the email description just said, was sent by my uncle. I have no idea where they are besides Washington. Have fun. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at it.
I've seen salmon in the rivers doing that.
Well, sure.
Okay. Well, I knew what I was getting myself into. Yeah, kind of a greatest hits of all of the challenges with identification. It doesn't actually show the animal in question, so I'm going to have to try and guess a little bit. It's pretty far away and not a lot of detail on where things are going on. But that's pretty normal. So let's take another look at the video and let's see what we can figure out from it. So here, we'll bring it back up. Well, maybe there's more here than at first glance. It looks like it's a pretty high tide on a gravelly beach, and Audrey's uncle says something about reminding him of salmon. So that makes me think that it's probably some kind of fish. And if we've got a fish and they're thrashing around spawning like salmon at a really high tide on a gravelly beach, that actually helps us narrow it down a little bit. There's a few species I can think of. So it might seem a little weird to think about a fish getting up as high on the beach as they possibly can to lay their eggs, because eventually that tide's going to go out and those eggs are just going to be ditched dry on the beach. But it's a pretty common strategy for a lot of species. The most famous of them is probably the California grunion. If you've lived in LA or San Diego or anywhere along the Southern California coast or along Baja California, you might have seen them spawning at night. They actually come all the way out of the water to dig down in the sand and lay their eggs. And it seems like a bad idea because there's the risk of drying out, but what happens by putting their eggs way high in the intertidal and abandoning them under the sand is that they stay damp because they're trapped away from where the sand is drying out, but they also avoid the kinds of predators that would love to consume them that are swimming or crawling around in the ocean. So unfortunately, this one can't be grunion because grunion are not found no further north than Point Conception, which is just a little bit north of LA. So it's going to have to be something else. Before we get to what this species might actually be, I should say that these are all going to be grouped into what are called forage fish, or sometimes called bait fish. And forage fish are a really, really critical part of ecosystems. They are a bridge between the teeny tiny microscopic or nearly microscopic plants and animals that make up the bottom of the food chain in the ocean, and the bigger, more charismatic stuff like these Caspian terns in the picture, or seals, whales, salmon, and other important species in the ocean. And a lot of them are having their spawning habitats damaged by shoreline development or changes in the near shore. And so it's really important that we protect these species and preserve beaches that have the space for them to be able to spawn, because without these animals, these kind of non-charismatic, just silvery little fish, we wouldn't have all of the amazing things that give us so much joy living in and around the Salish Sea. Okay, so using the information that we have, that these are probably fish and they spawn high in the intertidal zone during high tides, there's about 7 different species that I can think of, and they are the top smelt, true smelts, of which there are 3 different kinds, sandlins, and herring. So we'll go through and we'll see if we can figure out which of those specifically it might be. Let's start with the species that I'm fairly certain this is not. I'm almost positive this isn't a herring spawn for a couple of reasons. One of which is herring spawns tend to be really big. So huge stretches of the coast will just be boiling with female fish laying their eggs, predators coming in to consume them, and the water will actually stain kind of white because of the volume of milt that's in the water. And then the other reason is because herring tend to lay their eggs on submerged plants. So algae and eelgrasses, and they don't really have anywhere to do that in the footage that we see from Audrey's uncle. So my guess is this probably isn't a herring spawn. Another species that it's very unlikely that this is top smelt. Top smelt are in the same family as the grunion that we talked about before, and they also spawn high on beaches, but they are so rare in the Salish Sea that we only have one very good confirmed case of them being here. So with that in mind, it's probably not that. Not to say it's impossible, but other things are more likely. All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. Some of the species that this is a pretty decent chance of being. What you're looking at in the video now are sandlins, and these are a really cool kind of fish that are appropriately named. They're spear or lance shaped like you can see, and they literally stab themselves down into the sand to hide from predators. But they also do that to lay their eggs, and they come up into these tight schools that move really fast, thrash around like we saw in the video we're trying to identify, and bury their eggs down into the sediment. So it's a decent chance that we might be looking at sandlins in this. But the only other piece of evidence that I've discovered is I found out that this video is from August, and sandlins typically spawn in the winter. So it's possible that it's them, but it's a little less likely. So we've narrowed it down to our final group of fish, the smelt. There's quite a few different smelt in the Salish Sea, but many of them eliminate themselves before we even really need to consider them for the candidate species that we're seeing in the video that we've been sent. The night smelt spawns at night, and this video is during the day, so probably not. Lookin and longfin smelt, they spawn up rivers and often in the fall, so it's not what we're looking at here. So I think this could be one of 3 different species. Those 3 fish are capelin, whitebait smelt, and surf smelt. And of all those species, only surf smelt are found all up and down the entirety of the Salish Sea. Capelin haven't been really found further in than the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and whitebait smelt tend to be up near the San Juans and in the strait as well. So I think with all of the information that we have, and there's not much to go on, the most likely species that this is surf smelt. Surf smelt spawn at the right time of year. They are a forage fish that spawns in the high intertidal zone on gravelly beaches and doesn't lay their eggs specifically on seaweeds and other underwater plants. So I think the surf smelt that you're seeing schooling in this cave are probably the most likely species. Well, what do you think? Is there no way it's anything other than surf smelt? Or do you have a better guess? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And if you caught anything that I said that was inaccurate throughout the video, feel free to say something too. People make mistakes all the time, and I'd love to make those edits. If you know a little more than me, that's awesome. Also, if you would like to see more of these videos, I know I had a ton of fun making this one. I need more content. I need stuff from you. I need your blurry images. I need your zoomed out, pixelated videos. I need difficult descriptions of that thing that you saw on this one beach. You can't exactly remember where it was, but it was like kind of like next to the ocean. And I'll be able to make more, and we'll be able to do this again. So I'll put my email that you can send those images or videos or descriptions to in the description, and I can't wait to see you next time. Hopefully I'll be able to tell you what the hell you're looking at.